The Clippers' $2 billion arena, the Intuit Dome, is here. And with their flagship store opening this past weekend, I went ahead and made a drive down to Inglewood to check out the flagship store. What I didn't expect was to be able to take a tour of the Intuit Dome. So in this video, I'm going to be telling you guys my thoughts about the whole Intuit Dome experience, as well as sharing some videos and photos from inside the Intuit Dome. So let's get right into it. After a long drive to Inglewood, we went ahead and we parked in the parking structure on Prairie. That's the one that actually connects to the plaza of the Intuit Dome via the bridge. So once we parked, the parking was actually free. I don't know if it was just a weekend thing or if that's how it's going to be during the week when they don't have anything going on, but the parking was free today. Hopefully the parking isn't too expensive for future events, but for this case, it was free parking. Once we parked, we went ahead and made our way up to, I believe, the third level. And the third level, that's where we actually went through security. So they do security before you actually cross the bridge to get into the plaza area. Pretty seamless. There wasn't too long of a line, but we did get there at around 11, which was around the time that they opened, and they let us in probably about 5 minutes after that. Once we got in, we went ahead and made our way down through the bridge, and that's where we got our first view of the Intuit Dome, which is an amazing view. You get the view of the big screen that's right behind the basketball courts. That's where they're going to actually be playing like games and stuff when the team is away, I believe. And it's a huge screen. It's pretty awesome to see it in person. They weren't really playing anything on there per se, just like some graphics. It looked like maybe like statistical based stuff with player names on there. And right below it was the basketball courts, which they actually had some people working there with basketball so that fans could play if they wanted to. From there, we also did get a view of the pirate ship, or I wouldn't even say a pirate ship, but I guess the Clipper ship made out of the basketball hoops. That was to the right when you enter. And the flagship store was to our left. So we did make our way to the left because we wanted to go to the flagship store. That was the whole primary purpose of us going there, to check out the merch that they had, check out the experience. The flagship store experience was unlike any other retail experience I've ever had. Before you could even enter the store, there were people working up at the entrance of the store, and they wanted to make sure that you had the Intuit Dome app downloaded on your phone. And in order for you to be able to enter the store, the way that they have it set up is once you enter the doors, there's actually some like stanchions with like some plexiglass gate. And on those stanchions is a little camera. So what the camera does is it actually like recognizes your face. So you have to have a couple things set up. You have to have the app downloaded, you have your facial recognition enabled, and you have to have a payment method selected. From there, the employees working by the gates would ask whoever was within your group. So for example, I had my son with me. He did not have the app on his phone, but since he was entering with me, I'm assuming that that's how it would work. So I think since he went through the gates at the same time that I did, that's how it recognized to charge my card that was set up on my Intuit Dome app. But it was really cool because once I got there, it scanned my face and it said, "Hello, Brian," and I walked right in. And then from there, within the store, they had a bunch of Clipper gear with all of the new logo, essentially. So you had your jerseys, of course, you had a bunch of hats, you had women's clothing, you had men's clothing, you had athletic wear, you had, of course, like the miscellaneous, like the lanyards, you had like the pet clothing, and they even had a section dedicated to making custom jerseys, which I thought was really cool. So overall, the whole experience was just really unique because essentially it was kind of like those Amazon stores, which I've never been to, but I've heard that you pick it up and then you put it in your car and then you walk out and it charges you. So that's essentially what happened. Everything that we ended up wanting to shop, we just picked out and we walked right out. And then sure enough, about 30 minutes later, I saw the charge hit my bank account. I didn't have any problems getting charged more than what I actually purchased. So I ended up purchasing this hat, purchased my son a hat, I purchased a shirt, and then a couple pins as well. But overall, the flagship store experience is pretty cool. And if you're a Clipper fan that's looking for new merch, I definitely recommend that you check out the flagship store. After we left the store, we were hoping to be able to meet the Clippers player because allegedly there was supposed to be a Clippers player there on Friday and Saturday. We went on Saturday. But unfortunately, the Clippers player never showed up. Now that I'm recording this video, the Clippers player ended up showing up today, Sunday, which Kobe Brown ended up being there. I believe Cam Christie was there on Friday. So we missed out on missing the player, which I was a little bit bummed out about. After we left the Flagship Store, DJ Dance was actually announcing that they were hosting tours of the inside of the Intuit Dome. And so we walked over to the tent where you could sign up, and they gave us a rundown of the different options that they were offering. So they had two different options. One was a $47 option. Essentially, that was just like the basic tour. You got to see the inside of the Intuit Dome, and they went through most of like the general stuff. But they had one that they called the all access one. And this one, basically what they said was you could go into a little bit more like private areas where fans typically aren't allowed to go. That one was $67. The general was $47 per person, I will say. So it was me and my son. So I ended up going ahead and doing the all access one, which is $67, which ultimately I'll tell you guys about my experience and whether or not it was worth it or not. But I know that for some people that could be very pricey. And even for me, I was a little bit hesitant to do it. But I think for me, just being a diehard fan, I really wanted to be able to experience the Intuit Dome. And I didn't really want to wait till October till a game. So I went ahead and I just bit the bullet and I paid the $67 per person. So once the tour started, we were actually taken to the terrace level of the arena. Now the terrace level is what would be considered like the nosebleeds at any other arena. So like the 300 levels at crypto.com arena, for example. But at the Intuit Dome, the seats actually, I was so surprised at how good the view is. You would think that because of them being like the highest seats in the arena, that the view wouldn't be the best or that the court would look small, but I was actually very pleasantly surprised by how nice the seats are. I think maybe it has to do with how like vertical everything is, but at no point did I feel like it was like too vertical. We were able to sit down and ask any questions that we had. But some cool things that were pointed out is that the seats themselves have the most leg room as well. So I felt like the seats were pretty comfortable. They were very well padded. They actually have a charger in them. They have some interactive buttons that I guess you're going to be able to interact with games or like trivia or like things throughout the actual game itself, which I thought was really cool. Another thing that they mentioned is, I'm not sure if you've ever been to, other games where they give you like bracelets, and the bracelets are like the colored ones that they flash and like they interact and they change different colors. So one part of like the sustainability and, Steve Ballmer wanting the arena to be as sustainable as possible is that they actually found out that those bracelets are not very good for the environment. So instead of like doing that, they went ahead and built it into the seats themselves. So the seats have like these little lights that actually change colors and like they flash and interact based off of, different things that may be going on during the game or like the concert and things like that. One other thing that I was also very concerned about was whether or not the halo would be in the way of the view, and it definitely is not in the way of the view. You don't even hardly even notice it as far as like your viewpoint. It's not even in your line of sight when it comes to your seats. So that's pretty cool. I was a little bit disappointed that at least for our tour, the halo was not turned on. I was wanting to see what that looked like in person because I'd seen like the videos online where, it shows the player and it shows like their stats and it shows, like their shoe size, different things like that. But unfortunately, it was not on during our tour. Now, after the terrace part of the tour, we actually were taken to the Wall. If you're a Clipper fan, I'm sure you've heard that name being thrown out there a lot. So the Wall is essentially going to be where like the most diehard fans sit. So one thing that they mentioned about the Wall is that the seats themselves actually will be locking during games. So they basically, if you're a fan that's sitting in that section, you will not be able to sit down during games. And that's just because if you're sitting at the Wall, they want you to be cheering. I think they mentioned that like the tickets to sit in the Wall come out to like $30 a game. Which I thought was pretty cool. Unfortunately, I live a little bit too far to be driving out there for every game, so that's probably not going to be an option for me. But it seems like they really are going to be, punishing people if for whatever reason, like they were to, give their ticket to someone that's not a Clipper fan. Because what it sounds like is they only want Clipper fans there, and if for whatever reason, someone that's not wearing a Clipper fan or a Clipper jersey, or an opposing team jersey is sitting there, then they'll be actually relocating them to a different part of the arena, and the person that gave them the ticket will actually possibly be punished for that. I don't know what exactly that means, but it was kind of something that was mentioned. Another thing that they mentioned while on the wall part of the tour was that the opposing team's bench is actually going to be the bench that's closest to the wall. That's going to be where the opposing team sits, and the Clippers team will be on the opposite side. And I believe that they also mentioned that Steve Ballmer's seat will always be that seat closest to the Clipper bench. I believe they said was section 1, seat 1. So I thought that was a pretty cool thing, and it makes sense for them to have the opposing team's bench on the wall side because that way I guess intimidation and home court advantage. So that makes sense. After that, we were actually taken to go see the court that's inside of the arena. So there's a court that's inside of the arena, and so this is going to be like one of the public courts, I guess. So what they mentioned is that this court would be the one that you can like rent out for special events. So they mentioned like for schools or like even like parties or private events, you'll be able to either rent out the full court or half of the court. They did not mention how much that cost, but they did mention that that would be the court that would be available for the public to be able to rent out if they wanted to. Another part of the arena that we were shown was actually the Grey Goose Lounge. So the Grey Goose Lounge is going to be special. Not everyone is going to have access to it. And I believe that they mentioned that there's a couple different lounges, but they only showed us the Grey Goose Lounge. That's the only one that we were able to see on our tour. But essentially, you get the amenities of the lounge if you purchase one of the seats that's in that area or in that section, essentially. So kind of like other, arenas do. That's what the Clippers are essentially doing. But in reality, the lounge looked pretty cool. I probably will never be able to sit in there. But if people that can afford it, I think it looks like a pretty cool experience. Seems like pretty nice, honestly. And it looks like they have food, drinks, like a little bar area. Pretty cool. One thing that I did notice is that there's like no TVs anywhere. So like in the hallways, in the lounge, there's like no TVs, and that's very intentional because they mentioned that they don't want you out of your seats, they want you in your seats. So it's kind of funny because you have this really cool lounge, but they don't want you really hanging out in the lounge. Maybe like before the game or like halftime is when they want you in there. Other than that, when the game is going, they want you in your seats and they want you cheering on the team, which I thought was pretty cool. They did show us like all the bathrooms that were around the arena. There's a bunch of food and concessions as well. So what they did mention is with all those food and concessions is that everything is basically like the Flagship Store. You walk in, facial recognition, just pick it up and then you walk out, and that's how you get charged. And the whole point of that is because they want you, when you get up to go to the restroom, when you get up to go get something to eat or something to drink, they want you back in your seats within 120 seconds is what they said. So 2 minutes, right? So they really seem to focus on that. They really just want to get people in and out as quick as possible. One thing that they did say that was pretty cool is that there's this cup that you can actually purchase, and I think it's close to like $30, which I know is kind of steep, but it's kind of like a souvenir cup, like if you would go to like a theme park, essentially, but you buy it once and then you can just refill it with, sodas or like the fountain drinks that they have there. Every time that you go, just take it with you and you can just reuse it. And I think that's just kind of part of like their sustainability thing that they got going. Another thing with the sustainability that they did mention is they're actually going to be growing their own produce in the actual arena. So they showed us like this little area that is actually going to be growing produce. So fans will be able to see their produce being grown and it will be used at the actual arena itself. For the next part of the tour, we were actually taken down to Courtside. So we were able to see what the view looks like from Courtside. And I thought it was pretty cool just to be able to see that. And then you look up. We were on the opposite side of the wall, so you were able to kind of like look and then go up and see what the view looks like going up. And so it was just really cool to be able to be at courtside level. We were able to take a couple pictures and whatnot. That's probably the only time I'll be able to sit at courtside, or not even sit, but be able to experience, courtside. So I thought that was really cool as a fan. We weren't able to step on court, of course, but we were able to get, right next to it and, just enjoy the atmosphere, even though there's no game going on. But it was just really cool to be able to experience that as a fan. After that, we were actually taken to the green room, or at least one of the green rooms. So the green room that we were taken to, they specifically mentioned is going to be the green room that Bruno Mars will be using at his concert. As you may or may not know, he's going to be the opening act for the opening of the Intuit Dome. So we were able to, check out the green room. They didn't really let us go fully inside. They kind of let us like peek in, walk in a little bit, take pictures or video if you wanted to, and then walk out. But overall, I thought the green room looked pretty cool. For performers and whatnot, it looks like a nice little setup for them. But you guys can be the judge based off of the, video and pictures that you guys will see. And so after that, that was pretty much it as far as what would be considered the general tour. So if you would have paid like the $47, that would have been, I believe, where like the tour would have ended. But since we paid for like the VIP, like the full access tour, this is where we were taken to the part where we couldn't take any, pictures or photos, but I'm going to tell you guys about my experience with that. So basically we were taken to like the tunnel area. And so that's like where the players, are going to be like walking in and out, I'm assuming like from the parking garage is what she mentioned. So like Clippers, like the VIP parking garage is going to be right there. And so there's this little tunnel, which I was able to sneak like this little quick pic. I'll put it up on the screen. But essentially there's this little tunnel that takes the players from there and they're able to go straight to the locker room. They did show us these 2 double doors. And one thing that they mentioned is I guess there's like this little like suite area behind those double doors. And when those double doors open, it leads straight to the courtside, but you walk through the suites. So what they mentioned was going to happen is like, as the team is going in to start the game or going back for halftime and coming back out, I guess there's like some plexiglass that will come up. And so the fans can still, see the players coming in and out of the tunnel, but, they won't be able to like get in their way or anything like that. So I thought that was actually pretty cool. Additionally, we were actually shown the Clippers training facility. So we were to see all of, the basketball courts. They actually have 2 full-size basketball courts in there. We were able to see, not go in, but from the lower level, we were able to look up and we were able to see Ty Lue and Steve Ballmer's office. They're like right next to each other. Additionally, all the weight training equipment was there. They did have like a little pool in the training facility inside. They had like a kind of like a cafeteria area for the players. So that was pretty cool. And then also there's like a window, and they let us know that the players actually have access to like an outdoor training area and like an outdoor pool, which was really, really, really cool. And then kind of like the final thing that we were able to see, which I thought was really cool, is the actual locker room. So the locker room itself was pretty awesome. I'm sure you can see some pictures online. I'll try to find some and I'll try to put them up. But they told us that we could not take pictures of the locker room or like the training facility, any of that part of the tour. But the locker room itself was really, really cool. So it's like a circular shape, and kind of what they mentioned, or the reasoning behind that, is because they want the players, to be able to interact and communicate with one another. They didn't have any of the lockers assigned to anyone, but the way that it's set up is there's like TVs on top of each locker room, or at least on top of each locker. And so I'm assuming that will probably populate with whoever's name is at that locker. But I thought it was pretty cool. They had custom, shoe shelves in each locker. Overall, the locker room was really nice. You could tell everything's brand new. The carpet looks brand new. If you look up, there's actually a Clippers, the new logo is up there. It was pretty interesting though, because when we walked in, they had as if like it was a game day. So you have like the Clippers and then you had the logo of the opposing team. And ironically enough, the opposing team that they had up on the screen was the Philadelphia 76ers. So it's kind of like, it was pretty funny. I don't know if that was like a little jab at like Paul George leaving or what it was, but I thought it was pretty interesting, just because it's just, you know, our last star that just left the team. That's the team that we have up on the actual screen. So I'm not really too sure when the Clippers are playing the 76ers, but I don't know if it was kind of like indicating like, hey, we got this date marked on our calendars for whenever that game comes up. But overall, the locker room experience was really, really cool. I was just really excited, and it was really nice to just be in there and take in that atmosphere. It would be cool to be there with, you know, actual players there and whatnot, and experience it with actual players, but unfortunately that wasn't the case. They did mention that the players are going to be moving in like next week, so it looks like the players haven't even settled in, and they haven't even had the chance to even see the locker room. So very, 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 very cool experience. So yeah, after that, basically the tour was over. We were escorted out, and when we ended the tour, they did give us a little tumbler cup, which was this one right here, kind of like a little souvenir. I don't know if they do that for all tours or just because we got the all access tour, but either way, I thought that was pretty cool. So all in all, my conclusion is I thought that the tour itself was pretty cool. I could see how some people would think that it's pretty steep in price, and I could see them not wanting to pay for that. And especially, I'm thinking like if you have a family of 4, you know, you want to take your whole family to go see that, they get pretty pricey. I mean, even for me and my son, it was like $140 for both of us, right? So it was a little bit pricey. For me, it was worth the experience, just because I got to see areas of the arena that I don't think I'll ever even be able to see, even when it's open. So for me, I thought that was pretty cool. I would recommend it. I enjoyed getting the more exclusive stuff, so getting to see like the locker room and getting to see like their training facility and stuff like that. If you don't really care to see any of that, then maybe just do the $47 one if they're still offering it, or maybe just wait until, you know, a concert comes up here pretty soon that you might be interested in seeing and get to experience it yourself with the actual atmosphere of an event going on. Overall, I think that the Intuit Dome is amazing. It's awesome. The technology that's in the Intuit Dome is out of this world. I've never experienced anything like it. Just like the retail experience, the shopping experience, the way that they're just trying to get people in and out and get them back in their seats. I don't think it matters if you're a Clipper fan, you're just a sports fan, even if you hate the Clippers. If you like artists and you're going to be going to concerts here, you're going to be able to take advantage of this. And I think that you'll be able to enjoy and experience the Intuit Dome to its fullest. So I don't really think that there's any way to hate on the Intuit Dome itself. I think it's out of this world, and I'm really, really looking forward to seeing the Intuit Dome when an actual game is going on. I want to see how loud it is. I want to be able to experience the atmosphere in person. But I'm really, really excited to cheer on the Clippers this upcoming season, and I really want to try to be there on the very first game of the season to experience the opening of the Intuit Dome. If I do, I'll go ahead and I'll create a vlog, record some video. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you guys really enjoyed it, please consider subscribing. Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys on the next one.